Hello, everybody.
Hey there, guys.
Welcome to another episode of Take 47. Today we are going to be discussing the final phase of the MCU. Well, say final, but in terms of the Infinity Saga is the final phase.
We won't be finishing, though.
No.
I mean, we will be finishing.
Yes.
Just not today. We're just going to do the first four.
Yes.
Of the final phase of Marvel, which is Captain America Civil War, Doctor Strange.
Yep.
Guardians 2.
Yep.
And Spider-Man Homecoming.
And right again. and we definitely looking forward to talking about these movies because Phase 3 is pretty strong.
I think Phase 3 might be the strongest. Like, I remember looking through all the other phases and being like, wow, there's a lot more movies in here that I don't like than I remember liking. And
Yeah.
now that I look at the list for Phase 3, it's kind of just banger after banger. And, like, one or two movies that were a little weak here and there.
Yeah, but even the weak ones are a little stronger than the ones that we have talked about in
deemed as the worst.
episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's very true. All right, so yeah, I guess today let's just get going with it already. Captain America: Civil War, the final Captain America movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
I always feel like I forget that it's a Captain America movie. I kind of feel like it's an Avengers movie. More than
It does feel like an Avengers 2.5.
Right.
That I don't think personally like that's not much of like a bad thing or anything.
Oh no, I'm not trying to diss it for that. It's just I don't remember it as a Captain America movie.
Yeah,
because it still matters to Iron Man too, and like you can't just forget that whole aspect of it.
Yeah, it's Iron Man 3.5, Captain America. You know, like
it means something different to every character.
Yeah, but like the whole theme of the movie is taking responsibility for just your actions
for
in general.
Actions,
yeah, just
right. Was that the same? It was the. Sorry, I'm asking you, Nate, because you know the comics more than Brendan and I combined.
Yes,
I think
absolutely combined.
And I remember when Civil War came out, people were saying that it was rather faithful, but there were some things that it missed.
Yeah, the Civil War, the original Civil War comic event was, it was still Tony Stark versus Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
And it was Tony Stark saying everybody, all superheroes need to register. The government needs to know who you are. That's what it was in the comics. It's the Superhero Registration Act.
Oh yeah, it wasn't about Sokovia.
It wasn't about Sokovia, right? It was about the fact that it really boiled down to the fact that superheroes are incredibly dangerous and shouldn't be as autonomous as they had been. And
and Steve Rogers was saying like we're already plenty responsible. We carry more weight than they do,
and he was saying like I'm Captain America. Like if there's anything that I stand for, it's freedom.
Right.
And
you're trying to take that away
and you're
from
trying
me.
to take it away from me, and there have been times when we have had to stand up to the government, and if the government holds all the cards, if they know everybody that we care about and how to really cut us deep, then we're not going to do it again. And there's been times where some of the greatest supervillains in the MCU have taken over the government or the military or been supported by the American government or military. And
it's true, we did find out in the last Captain America movie that all of S.H.I.E.L.D. was Hydra. So.
Literally, like if you ever needed to like a nice mental refresher as to why Steve is against the Sokovia Accords, there's an entire movie about it.
Right.
So you definitely see why he's against it. Knowing the difference between the comic and the movie being like a superhero registration, excuse me, for the comic books, and then the Sokovia Accords for the film. At least based on the way you described it, Sokovia seems like a stronger.
It is. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely a stronger a stronger
Motivation.
motivation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a lot more weight on it, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And
they
it's-
did mess up big time.
Yes. Yeah.
They did mess up.
And it wasn't about, the Sokovia Accords aren't about we need to know who each of you are. It's you need to be held accountable.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know that in principle, of course, we know that there were other factors at play and that it wasn't all it appeared. But when you get right down to it, anybody that has abilities that equal military weapons, like if you are essentially a walking nuclear bomb or an intercontinental ballistic missile, you shouldn't get to just go off whenever you want.
Yeah.
Um,
I
Yeah,
agree with that.
that makes sense.
I mean, that's just chaos,
Yeah.
right?
Well, yeah, and we see that happen exactly in the beginning of the movie when they were in Lagos, right? And they were trying to take down Crossbones. Is that his name?
I believe that. Yeah, it was Crossbones.
Because it was Rumlow from Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
That is who plays him. I know. Was it in the comic books that? I mean, I could be completely wrong. That Cap dies in the Civil War arc, doesn't he?
Oh,
From Crossbones, or was that another arc?
I think that was another arc.
Right. Okay.
I don't remember Cap dying in either Civil War 1 or 2 in the comics.
Okay.
Something that... Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I hope you were done there. Just trying to keep it going. But something that I thought irked me a little bit about Civil War, which I thought it was a bad movie at first. Like, I saw it and I was like, I kind of don't like that.
I'm glad we're kind of on the same page. 'Cause
Yeah.
when I left the theater as well, I was also very disappointed.
But I really came around to the movie. I kind of think that it's a really good movie now.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure what made me have such a big change there, but I know something that still annoys me about it, and that is I feel like once it comes out that the real conflict here is over Bucky, we forget all about the fact that, like, there's the whole U.S. government trying to track down the superheroes, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yes.
Steve does become a terrorist, and yeah, that comes into play in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame,
Yeah.
but not a whole bunch.
The only, like, way I can seemingly try to defend it is that Tony did pull a ridiculous amount of strings to make sure that, Steve doesn't get shot.
That, yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
he
that's
also,
true.
like, he said
That's true.
he says to Ross, too, he's like, give me 72 hours, and he's like, nah, you got 2 days. And it's like, well, all right.
I guess that's all I have.
And watching the movie again, for some reason when I first saw it, I thought it was boring, which past me is incredibly inaccurate. Like, this movie's really, really good.
It's action-packed, yeah.
The one thing, there are a couple things that annoy me as well. It's like, if a part of me is like, if Steve just told Tony the evidence that he knew, like, because there was literally that scene when, of course, the technical, like, villain, I guess, Zemo, is the one that is the therapist, and Peggy Carter's niece, Sam and Steve are in the other room talking about, like, wait, this doesn't make any sense. Like I feel like he should have just said that to Tony, and, like, I feel like Tony would have gotten on board a little bit more, because all Steve kept saying was, like, he's my friend. He's my friend. I gotta help him. But, like, yeah, he's a terrorist. He's my friend. Like, it wasn't really, like...
You're right. Steve
didn't really
has
come up with a
concrete
solid-
evidence, but he
Yeah.
never says anything
He
about
never
it.
says anything, like, especially at the airport. Like, he knows where Zemo's gonna go, so they have their ride. They got their cute little, like, Avengers team right there. They're getting ready, and Tony stops them and is like, "I need to take you in." If Steve just said, "Listen to me," like, this, and this, and most primarily this, I feel like Tony would have gone with him.
Right, Tony isn't completely
Yeah.
unreasonable. They were friends.
Well, yeah, because they literally had the discussion, too, where, like, Tony's like, okay, look, I just need you to write your damn name, okay? And then we can literally figure it out from there. Like, papers can be, like, adjusted once everything's set in stone. The ink, once the ink dries up, it's not permanent. But then, like, Steve just gets really annoyed about government.
Yep.
And it's like, damn it.
There's so much of that. The way that they brought Spider-Man in through this movie,
in that airport scene.
yeah,
Yes.
I think in the first in the Phase 1 thing we I might have talked about this, that my pet peeve with franchise movies like this is when they do fan service that doesn't make sense within the movie.
You're saying, like, Spider-Man doesn't make sense within the movie.
Spider-Man is nobody's secret weapon as far as anybody inside the MCU knows.
Completely agree.
Tony Stark was incredibly irresponsible to bring
To
this
just
kid.
take him out of his home.
And he means nothing. The only thing,
Internship.
and I don't think they even talked about it, but I think the logic is that maybe he would remind Steve Rogers of himself, like this scrappy young
Because he's
kid.
from Queens type thing, yeah.
Didn't really work.
I mean, they had a cute little banter.
Oh, yeah,
You got heart, kid. Where you from?
but
That was about it.
but Spider-Man figured into the Civil War comic series
Better.
much better.
So
Because everybody, Spider-Man is, like, in the Marvel Universe, Spider-Man is exactly what, if you saw the Tobey Maguire movies,
love him.
Right.
he is exactly through all of the Marvel universe, or throughout America,
Right.
in the 616 universe. He is what Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was in those movies.
Campy.
Technically, well, yes, yeah, absolutely, campy, corny, quippy,
But very intelligent.
but very intelligent and a hero to the common person.
Right.
Yes, he's a vigilante. He is not working officially with the police or the military or whatever.
Right.
But
he's an
aside
everyman
from
more so than
aside
other
from J.
superheroes.
Jonah Jameson and a few establishment people, he is a hero to the common man.
Yeah.
And what Tony Stark did to Peter Parker in the Civil War comic series was go to him and convince him you need to reveal your secret identity. Because that is going to say more to every other superhero than anything I can do. And Peter Parker looked up to Tony Stark and all that he had accomplished personally in his life, and he said, yeah, okay, absolutely, I will do it. And it ruined him. But that was the moment, and that was the big moment for Spider-Man, and it was just nothing in this because nobody in that world knew who he was.
I am baffled. Oh my!
That sounds
gosh.
really cool. Like, I don't know. I really liked that a lot.
You know what? That makes me that makes me hate Spider-Man Far From Home just a little bit more. It really does. The fact that they were like, we're gonna not do...
Well, save your ammunition for when we talk about that. Because we already made a video how much we don't like that movie.
Yeah.
But now we have a third person so we can talk about it more.
Well, anyone who knows the movie knows why that would make me angry.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Like, this movie... It is really good. I do think it is really good. I'm kind of torn whether or not I like this or Winter Soldier more.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think the only reason I might like Civil War more is because every single scene with Tony and Steve, they're just the two most charismatic people on screen and are just like gushing with energy in terms of like what they stand for. So like their dynamic is always really, really good. and it's never like a dull moment on screen. And I like their discussion about the Sokovia Accords in the beginning as well, when like Vision. I know how much you don't like Vision, but
Yeah.
and at least in this scene, I thought they used him well, where he was just like, since Tony came out and was like, I am Iron Man, a bunch of other people, like, the amount of world-ending events has just
It skyrocketed, yeah.
skyrocketed. Like, so,
and he was right about that.
Yeah, and he's like, so to be fair, like, what was it? He said something that, like, it was like, power invites challenge and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, like, the people who agree with him, like, you got Rhodey, Black Widow, for the most part, kind of agrees.
Yeah.
Was sort of in the middle.
Tony?
Yeah. Because, like, she does think that... She's kind of playing, like, both sides of the coin.
Oh, yeah,
Because she definitely thinks that action should be, taken. But then at the same time, she's like, like, I kind of get what you're doing, Steve, but also, please don't be an idiot. And then when he does something stupid, she's like, buddy, this just made it so much worse. You know that, right? And he's just kind of like, he's my friend. That's it. What did you... So is Zemo in the comics?
Zemo is practically nothing in the comics, because the inciting incident for Civil War in the comics was actually an accident. At basically, a lot of school kids died because of I believe, was it the New Mutants? New Warriors. The New Warriors was a team.
I'm not familiar with that at all.
The New Warriors was an X-Men type team.
Yeah.
That had their own reality show.
Whoa.
So it was like it was everything that's wrong with superheroing condensed into one moment, and these people, in order to try to save some kids, they ended up blowing them up. And everybody except Speedball.
Quite the name there.
So the New Warriors are Night Thrasher, Namorita, Speedball, and Microbe. And the villains were Cobalt Man, Speed Freak, Cold Heart, and Nitro in Stamford, Connecticut.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
So they, so Nitro...
Some boring heroes for a boring place.
Yeah. But Nitro explodes, killing more than 600 people, including school children and all of the New Warriors except Speedball. Speedball then went on to become a weird superhero. I think he went by Penance, or I don't know, might have been a synonym for that, but he basically lived inside of a suit of armor that had spikes on the inside to torture him. But anyway,
Some
that was
DC type stuff.
Yeah, it really is.
That's weird.
But basically, it was like a school shooting type incident that sparked this legislation that led to the war between the superheroes. Zemo and let me think. Zemo may have figured in a strange way. Was this when he created the Thunderbolts?
Oh my gosh! See, I don't know.
Yeah, because this is a complete
this is a
version
complete
in the
deviation.
movie. Yeah, it's like
from the movie,
completely
timeline
different.
here.
Yeah,
What his motivation was?
His
my wife
whole
and
family
kid
died
in Sokovia.
Yeah, when like a building fell on like his.
So now he just wants
dad's.
to make them pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the way to do it. I mean, he was like, I thought of killing you guys, but I mean, stronger men have tried. So. And it was like, an empire that's that collapses from within is truly dead. So that's why the whole movie is trying to get the mission report from the
Hydra agents.
The night that Bucky kills Tony's parents.
Yeah.
Which is a...
Yeah, okay, yeah, I remembered correctly. So...
Did you really?
Yeah. Baron Zemo, basically... He recruits a bunch of former villains to try to make his own superhero team.
Like a Suicide Squad type thing.
Yeah.
Okay. What always some kind of
Suicide
Squad.
so we don't need to get into all of that, but it's the Thunderbolts are.
It's just interesting to know that it's so wildly different. And okay, I guess this raises a good question though. Is Zevo's motivation in the movie solid enough to be the villain of the movie? And is his motivation in the comics solid enough for him to do what he did that you know that we don't?
That was a mouthful.
Yeah, it was.
What you know that he don't.
He basically was trying to start his own little Avengers type team in order to like gain credibility for himself, even though he was.
So this guy's just a wannabe.
So then,
he was continuing to be a villain.
So they did a little nod to that then, because in the movie we thought, for the most part, they thought that he was going to wake up all the other Winter Soldiers.
Yeah.
And then he literally has a voice line that says, if it's any comfort, they died in their sleep. Did you really think I wanted more of you?
Right.
So, okay, nice. That makes I like that. That's
so I think he works. I think he works for this movie. I think that they could have called back to someone else that was already relevant.
I think it was a little weak for it to be like this whole focus point. And
I definitely think that's why he wasn't basically the focus of this movie. I feel like he was definitely there. He was just, because it's kind of like two separate arcs really. So it's like, like Tony, his whole MO is trying to get everyone to sign the Accords. And then Steve kind of goes AWOL with Bucky, so now his whole thing is trying to get them. And then he's trying to find the people that frames, or the person that frames Bucky, so then Zemo's just kind of like that one that kind of halts the progress on either side type thing. Yeah. But of course, I mean, that leads to of course, the actual Civil War happening and having Tony and Cap, face off. And it's so funny because like when this movie first, like before it came out, and even up to the day it did come out, a lot of people are like, well, whose team are you on? Like, are you Team Cap or Team Iron Man? And I mean, me personally, I was Iron Man. I don't know what you guys were.
I sided with Cap.
You sided with Cap.
I did.
What about you, Nate?
I sense have changed my opinion. I don't like to. Whatever, Nate.
I sided with Iron Man in principle, but I was rooting for Cap throughout the movie. It's like if this was real life, I would be right there next to Iron Man.
Right.
Okay. But it was pretty awesome to watch Cap do his whole thing.
Yeah.
I think that's why I sided with Cap. Like his movies were just so awesome.
Yeah. But in the grand scheme of things, Iron Man was fighting on the correct side. You shouldn't have individual people who can kill thousands of people
at the drop of a hat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ross says that too. Like, do you guys even know where Thor and Banner are? If I misplaced nukes, I'd be in trouble for it.
Yeah.
Right.
But on a personal, for the personal story, I was rooting for Cap because Bucky wasn't in control.
Yeah.
And it became a completely different issue.
Yeah.
And that other issue, I was on the other side.
There is one part of this movie that we have failed to talk about so far.
Okay.
This is Black Panther's first appearance, right?
Yep. This is the introduction to Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther. And
I thought it was pretty great.
I thought it was because even when I came out of this movie disappointed, the one thing I genuinely loved was everything Black Panther.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he was so cool. Like, when you see his suit for the first time and he gets that nice camera shot that lingers and he's in you guys can't see it, I was posing. but no, he does the super, his whole suit's vibranium. It's like, whoa, who's this guy?
Yep.
He, takes on Bucky without even his suit on in the first place. And it was really, really cool. And I'm glad that he was basically just kind of in the whole movie as another, one of the, bigger characters.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be like how Spider-Man is in the movie, where he's just kind of oh, okay, I'm going to Germany. Oh, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Thanks for being in here for 3 minutes.
No, I think that his motivations in this movie were one of the most solid aspects of it.
Yeah, it was simple, but like he was. It was just very effective.
It was enough. Like they
Yeah.
didn't need to dress it up as something different. They had the villain Zivu running around doing his whole thing, and that's
Did you
not
say
his name.
Zivu?
I did. What is it? What's his name?
Zemo.
Zemo. I said Zivu.
You've been
You're using
progressively
the Hive
altering
God
it.
from Destiny.
You're right. That
Zivu.
is what I was thinking of. Zivu. Shoot.
Zemo.
What was I saying?
You were
so
saying,
he was
like-
running around, and Black Panther. All he wanted was to catch him and make him.
Pay for killing his dad.
Yeah, fess up for killing his dad. Like, that was it.
In a
He
way,
didn't
he's basically
need-
another Zemo.
He didn't need to side with Iron Man. He didn't need to side with Captain America. He was like, I just need to do that.
Yeah. He was in support of the Accords, though,
He was.
to some extent. Also, because I don't know why I said extent that weird, but he definitely was kind of his own person that whole movie anyway, though.
Yeah.
But no, I think it was a very, very strong introduction for Black Panther. So I mean, I was excited to see where his whole story was going to go from then on.
Yeah.
So, does anyone have anything else to say about Civil War other than it being a really, really good movie?
I think I said all I need to about Civil War.
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge the additional thing that Tony went through with his virtual child crippling his best friend while both of them were trying to back him up.
Oh yeah, that did
Yeah.
happen in this one.
Right? Yeah. I'm surprised I just glossed over that. Yeah.
That happens at the airport, right? That's like
Yep.
how it ends.
Yep. Because
Cap gets
Rhodey was
away and
Rhodey
gets
was coming
crippled.
after him, and then Vision got distracted from Wanda,
Yeah.
and he just kind of looked up and like Hail Mary, like shoot, and yeah, and then
Wah, 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 wah.
yeah, that's pretty that's pretty rough. I mean, Tony, he definitely went through a lot of emotions. This entire movie was just like, hey, my parents died. Barf. Little did we know that was
how
going
it
to
is.
become someone's villain arc.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But no, it continued a wasting of a character that should have been way cooler, which is Vision.
Yeah.
mhm.
That's why I don't like Vision.
Yeah, I love Vision because of Vision from the comics.
Yeah.
I just think they absolutely wasted them. I mean, I hope we see something
And
really
WandaVision,
great
yeah.
in WandaVision, but
Because I like the smaller scale stuff
Yeah.
that he does, and at least in the movies, like when he's actually there, I feel like they had a hard time trying to figure out how to use him action-wise
Yes.
without him just kind of being overpowered as hell, and
Uh-huh.
just because he's just a walking Infinity Stone.
Right.
So I
they
guess
didn't have to make him that. That's the crazy thing. Like, all they had to do was not have that Infinity Stone stay a part of him once he was created, and
Yeah.
he would have just been, no more powerful than anyone that
Yeah.
He didn't even have to be as powerful as Thor.
They also tried to set it up too. Well, no,
So what up?
like it seemed like rather they were trying to set something up in this movie when Vision talks about the stone.
Oh.
He's like, this is a part of me, and like I don't know anything about it. And then Wanda's like, "Are you afraid of it?" And he goes, "No, I wish to understand it."
Mm-hmm.
And then he has like this whole monologue about how like maybe one day he'll be able to control it or something like that, but it is never acknowledged again.
Yeah.
Which kind of bummed me out rewatching it because I was like, oh,
Kind of wanted to
that's
know
kind of
more
cool.
about that.
Yeah, like it seemed like they were like planting the seeds for something, but then like come Infinity War, they were like,
Yep.
okay, whatever.
What? Okay, because that was the Mind Stone that was in Loki's scepter, and then it was in Vision
Yes.
because of Banner and Iron Man. So, what were what would you rather them have done with the stone? Where else would it have gone?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I
the
don't
thing
know
is,
either.
They
If it's not in Vision,
it could have been used to generate him, to create him,
And then
but not been embedded in him.
Yeah.
Or maybe it could have been a thing that he can't access its power.
while it's being his brain.
hence that whole scene of him saying, "I wish to understand it,"
Yeah.
but then he just uses it as a weapon.
Right.
I mean, they could also. They seemingly could have also done a thing where, like, they could have, like, oh, we need to find a safe place to, put this away, and then if they wanted to continue the way Infinity War went, they think like Wakanda is like the safest place because it's disconnected away from everyone. So then Thanos would still have to go to Wakanda. The fight in Wakanda would still be there, and you can technically still kill Vision without him being a stone in the first place.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. Just,
Oh, well, we got 3 more to get to. So.
yeah.
That's true. Next up is Doctor Strange.
Took me way too long to see this movie. I saw it after Infinity War.
I think I did too. I saw it
yeah,
when it got put on Netflix.
Because you and I were, because we went to go see Infinity War together, and
Yeah.
we both loved everything Doctor Strange in
Yeah.
Infinity War.
Yeah, and we were like, oh crap, we actually have to watch this movie
Yeah,
now.
I was like, damn, I guess I should have watched it then.
I'm not sure what turned me away from it, but I was like, oh,
I don't
that
know
one's
either.
not a
Probably
real
just
Marvel
to that
movie.
it's Benedict Cumberbatch.
Who?
The man of many names.
Oh, Benadryl Cucumber!
Yes.
Boopadoot Cooper Snoot.
Booperdoot Cooper Snoot.
But no, this is Doctor Strange's origin story about how he became how he went from one of the best surgeons in the
World?
was it the world,
I'm pretty sure.
or was
It was
it
the
like
world.
was
Yes.
the world?
Yeah.
Okay, and then losing it. He was just like
He lost it all.
he was like a medical version of Tony Stark. He was just incredibly arrogant. He was, he knew he was
Free-handed
good.
some brain surgery.
Yeah, he free-handed all like this thing that he definitely shouldn't have been able to, but like he's like, he's listening to music and stuff in the, the surgeon the room, the operating room. And then of course, he loses that in the accident that he gets into. I also I didn't notice this the first time I watched, but he turned down Rhodey's surgery.
That's what I was just gonna
like
say.
when he was like, "Oh, there's this like 35-year-old that like is paralyzed from the waist down."
He just goes, nah.
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, it's boring." I was like,
Not
"Oh, it's
boring at
Rhodey."
all.
I was like, nice little Easter egg there."
Yep.
Um,
So, Doctor Strange comics. Like, we need to talk about what Doctor Strange was to the world of comics.
Sure, he was just some guy in big yellow gloves and a weird ass cape.
Well, Steve Ditko
Who
wanted...
did Spider-Man, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, excuse me. Well, we should probably explain that I bit through my tongue last week,
What?
and that's been interfering with me talking this
Yeah,
whole
that's
time.
true. That is true. That's happening right now.
yep.
But so Steve Ditko wanted to create a character, create many characters that that would enable him to bring in psychedelic imagery to the comics because college students in the 60s were
really into it.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and Stan Lee, of course, was all for that. So, I don't know if he was all for the psychedelics, but he was all for finding yet another way to sell more comics to another group of people.
Right.
So Doctor Strange was called Doctor Strange because he debuted in Strange Tales, a split comic with the Human Torch, not the Human Torch of the Fantastic Four.
A different one?
A different one. The Human Torch was an android, and throughout a lot of Vision's history throughout the 90s, he thought that he was like a rebooted Human Torch, and then found out he wasn't.
Okay.
Okay.
But that's just a side thing. But this was all about bringing the visuals of LSD and psilocybin and similar psychedelic chemicals, bringing those onto the pages. I don't know for sure whether Steve Ditko did a bunch of drugs, but he sure drew a bunch of drugs. And I was amazed at how well that they brought those visuals to life in a movie.
It felt like Inception.
It did
too.
feel like Inception with a superhero in it.
Yeah.
Like, on it. Because, I mean, the whole opening scene is, I can't remember his name, like the villain's name, but it's Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
I don't know his name.
He shows up, and the movie already starts off on kind of like a more violent tone, straight up like decapitating the librarian.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go take this book, and then Tilda Swinton is just like, hey, you know,
no.
like, that's
My
not cool.
boldness
But
will
like that
stop
whole
you.
fight is literally like, it's super cool because she's just like, all right, I'm gonna use like my sorcery, and like buildings are like crushing the other sorcerers, and then like when the whole fight ends, she just reverts it back to normal, and they're just dead in the street. And it's like, what? That's so cool.
It didn't happen that way for anyone else.
Yeah, and she
ever in
just
the
kind of
world.
like, all right, I'm out. Just like
for
opens a
them
portal,
right
and
then.
yeah. The visuals in this movie are awesome.
Would
like-
you go so far as to say like it's the main reason that this movie's so great?
Yeah.
It's
The visuals?
definitely eye candy for sure. Like, I mean, it's visually appealing to see like buildings morph into each other, like so seamless.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like a whoa. It's kind of the same wonder that Inception had in the first place when it came out. It's like seeing an entire block of a city just kind of morph into itself, and like everything just adjusts to the way that the wielder or the user or whatever wishes to see it.
Yeah.
But I really like Benedict Cumberbatch in this movie, just in every movie he's been in as Doctor Strange. Like the whole beginning is fairly like gloomy.
Yeah.
The whole recovery stage of him being, he went from having super steady hands to just having so much nerve damage they just shake.
Yeah. And he has pins in his
Yeah.
hands. I think all
like,
his body.
Yeah. It was like a great performance, just him like realizing you literally just went from the very, very top to the very, very bottom. You can't even
Just like
perform
that.
a surgery if you wanted to. And like the whole time he's like trying to get like experimental surgeries and all that, and
I
that's
think he goes broke because of it too.
yeah,
right?
he basically spends all of his money to try and get like these surgeons like, come on, like help me out, and they're like, it's not possible, and he's like, it is though, I will give you the money, and they're like, no, we don't want your money.
Right.
It's gonna kill you or it's gonna be worse. And he's like, you know what, fine.
So how does he figure out? Is it Tibet that he goes to? How does he figure out that he has to go there?
Well, because his one of the nurses that is at the hospital mentions that he had a patient that was in a wheelchair, and all of a sudden he left and was like, suddenly started to walk, and he's like, bullshit, and he's like, all right, well, I'll send you the medical file just to prove you wrong. And then he talks to that person, and
that
he's
person's
like,
I use a power.
yeah,
that
he
you
was
can never
like,
understand.
some spiritual stuff, like, you gotta go here, and he's like, okay. So then he go. It's kind of like a Batman Begins type thing.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, that's a good way to compare it.
Like, it reminded me a lot, because like he starts walking around, he's all like he's in like ratty clothes and stuff, similar to like what Bruce Wayne was, and he's trying to find like this mystical group or whatever
Yeah,
to train them, and he ends up becoming like a hero out of it. So it was kind of just like the beginning of Batman Begins.
Yep.
I do think that it was a really well done redemption arc.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
For
I
Doctor
do too.
Strange.
I do too.
I love any story where the person starts out on top and like they forgot how hard it was to get to where they are, and just think like, I'm inherently better. Excuse me. I'm inherently better than everyone else.
Yeah,
Just because I did
and
this
just to
kind of
Yeah.
have them get smacked down to to
Snap back to reality.
Yeah, I mean, he's literally like that. Even when he becomes Doctor Strange.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he goes up against Mads once, and he gets his ass kicked.
Mm-hmm.
He gets, like, stabbed a couple times. He's like, okay, this is bad. Like, okay. It's only towards the end with the whole, like, Dormammu thing that he actually becomes, like, good at what he does.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think that, like, Doctor Strange doesn't lose his arrogance when he gets smacked down a peg, like you were talking about.
Right.
He's still.
Yeah, it takes
Right.
him
he
so
is
long
better
for
than
him to get
everyone
out.
else.
Yeah.
Well, there was one scene that I was just about to. Ah, crud! Now I can't think of it. Someone else say something.
Well, while you're thinking, my question is he right though? Because
To what?
To not lose his arrogance.
Oh.
Like, he always claws his way back to be, like, even more important and more powerful.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. It's just like you have to have some balls on you to go and steal the time stone.
Yeah.
And he was definitely wrong to do it. He was dead wrong to do it, and then he proved himself right. Like, he proved himself right by sacrificing himself. He didn't know that he was going to get out of that, like, pocket dimension that Dormammu was in or whatever.
Yeah.
He should have died there, and he knows he should have died there, and I think that's the only reason he's even humble anymore.
Yeah.
Like, he shouldn't have come out alive from that.
Well, no, yeah. He died like 50 times.
Yeah.
He was like, Dormammu, stab Dormammu, crush Dormammu, yeet. Like he just just dying over and over again. And it sets up a villain that I'm pretty sure we are having in. He's going to return in Multiverse of Madness.
Baron
Chiwetel.
Yeah, Baron Mordo, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Say that name again?
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Ooh, that's a cool name.
Yeah, because, like, I mean, he's the whole reason Stephen Strange even found the place. And then, like, towards the end, he's like, whoa, hey, like, we have a lot of power and stuff. Like, we should be using it. And he's like, no, this is a bad idea. Like, no, you get out of here, yo. And he's
Please,
like,
I just want to walk. That's it.
No, so then he ends up becoming the villain, like, by the end of the movie, and I thought that was kind of cool that they were building him up as a villain while there was already a villain, and it didn't feel, like, crowded, kind of like Iron Man 2 did, like when we were talking about Justin Hammer and Ivan Vanko.
Yeah.
How it's like, why do we even have both of them there? Like,
No, you're right, they did do it well.
Yeah, because it wasn't like I'm a villain and I'm a villain already, and then they just like work together or whatever. It was I'm a villain and like, hey, I'm good, and then as Stephen Strange is like, you know, being really, really cool and, you know, kicking ass, and Tilda Swinton's like, yeah, he's the one, and she's like, what? He's like, what? Yeah. I've been here so long. Like, are you kidding me? How am I the one that's not?
Yeah.
What?
And that is the answer to my question, though. Is yes, Stephen Strange is wrong to maintain his arrogance because of what it does to the other people around him. He could have been a nice guy and kept that guy as a friend and an ally, and he didn't just because he was arrogant.
Yeah.
I think it also speaks to something about Stephen Strange's personality that he wasn't able to just join the ranks of these
quite a bit.
sorcerers.
Yeah.
He had to become the Sorcerer Supreme. Like, don't you think there were some other people that maybe were a bit more qualified than he was, maybe took a bit more time to understand what it means to be the Sorcerer Supreme? Like, he just totally fell into that position.
Yeah, and I think it also definitely tied into, because they talk about it in Endgame when Tilda Swinton's like, wait, like Stephen Strange does this and like gives the time stone. Oh, okay. Like, so she already knew he was going to be the one anyway.
Yeah. So
I guess she kind of was trying to speed up the process a little bit while trying to knock him on his ass a couple times. It was kind of like a Neo situation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where it's just kind of like I know you're the one, but like you're not the one yet.
Yeah.
And it's literally just he was told what he needed to hear to become the one type thing.
Yeah.
So at least that's how I see it. But like, no, yeah, I really, really like Doctor Strange. I was mad at myself for waiting so long to actually watch it. Like, I watched it like a month after Infinity War came out, and I was like, damn, like, I wish I saw this in theaters because that would have been really cool to see.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, there's like the
I
whole
can
sequence.
only imagine.
Yeah, like when he opens his hand and his fingers start generating more hands and more hands, and where he's like, what? Whoa, whoa.
I only hope that, like, all of the visual effects that we just praised, like, if those don't, get, like, ramped up a bit more for the next movie, I just hope that they keep that aspect.
Well,
don't forget
I would
about
hope that
the
it
visual
does.
effects.
I mean, with a title like Multiverse of Madness, that already sounds like an overhaul of all the trippy stuff that we saw in the first movie, because it's like a nice introduction to sorcery and what they were doing. But now if you're bringing in multiverses and like throwing all this other stuff in,
There's gotta be something.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
So I mean, that definitely remains like one of my most anticipated Marvel sequels is Doctor Strange 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And hopefully it lives up. Fingers crossed.
Now, just to cap it off, I gotta say the best thing to come out of Doctor Strange is the edited music video for Goodbye Moon Men from Rick and Morty, using Doctor Strange visuals.
Gosh, I wish I could disagree with you.
It's the reason YouTube was invented.
Oh, wow. Wow, you know what? That is just as bold of a claim as that one time that you told me you didn't have to see any other movies after you watched Thor Ragnarok. Oh, wait, no, you didn't say that you didn't have to see any movies. You said they don't have to make any other movies.
Yes. So yeah, anything else about Doctor Strange?
Let's see. I like that. I'll end on a good note. I like that they didn't make it a whole like sappy love romance story with that lady surgeon.
Yes, I completely agree.
With him, and
I
the
agree.
Relationship was pretty good.
Yeah, she already was I think the smartest move they did was establish all the characters that he knew before he became Doctor Strange, and then just continued their like relationship when he became Doctor Strange. So it was like they lingered on it. It didn't feel rushed in any way, which I think is definitely something that serves the movie 100%. So
agreed.
Perfect. All right then. So I guess just trucking along here, we got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Okay.
All right, now this one's fairly interesting because Cole and I...
A bit of a split in the room here.
Yeah.
I think. I don't hate this movie by any means, but it's much weaker than A, the other movies that we're going to talk about today, I think, and B, the other Guardians movie.
I agree. For me, at least, I don't like this movie. I don't hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I hated it when it first came out, but I still don't like it.
Did you hate it because it wasn't Guardians 1?
No, I wish it didn't try so hard to be Guardians 1. Because, Guardians of the Galaxy 1, right, came out of nowhere. No one expected it to be as good as it was. Had no right to be as good as it was.
True.
It was funny, but I never, in my mind, thought that it was trying too hard for its comedy. I mean, yeah, of course, in like any comedy, every comedy in general, there's going to be jokes that don't land. But I feel like most of the jokes in Guardians 2 just don't land because most of the movie is humor. Even in situations where I don't think there should have been humor anyway. That's just how I see it. But, so, I don't know. I also don't like it when every character is like, it's like multiple character arcs that are, they're all like separated.
Yeah.
And then they kind of come together at the end, and it's like...
But they were a team. They probably should have started together.
Yeah. Like, because we already had the first movie where they didn't know each other, which is fine. It's like an origin type thing, whatever, how they're formed.
But now we want to see them all together in action.
Yeah. And, I mean, we do get that in the beginning, and that, that's a really fun intro sequence.
Yeah.
With Mr. Blue Sky or whatever. When they're all, fighting this giant monster that they were hired to eliminate or whatever. I don't know, I just feel like it was so many things going on in this movie that it just feels very disjointed. I guess.
Yeah. I would agree with that, but I'd really like to hear from Nate, because Nate has been, like, quietly disagreeing with us this whole time.
So
I want to know why.
So what did you think, Nate?
Okay, well, first of all,
I mean, you love James Gunn, don't you?
I love James Gunn. And, you know, he's got a great sense of humor, he's got a great direction style, and he is the only reason that the first Guardians or the second Guardians worked.
What did he bring to the table that you don't think another director would have? Or writer, because he did write and direct these movies.
Yes.
He brought a personality. He brought an irreverence and a quirkiness that had not been in any previous MCU movies.
Okay.
But unlike, for example, Edgar Wright, who wrote Ant-Man and was supposed to direct Ant-Man, and got
the
booted,
heck out of there.
Yeah.
James Gunn was able to navigate the Marvel production behemoth, and get his vision to fit in with their universe. Without him, we don't have Taika Waititi working on Thor Ragnarok. I hate my tongue.
Thor Ragnarok. There, you don't have to say that.
And we don't have, like, we just have stale superhero movies. Like the sense of humor in Guardians opened the door for and I think you guys liked the first one. I don't think you disagree with me.
No. I completely agree. Yeah.
Now, what I didn't like about the first one is that they destroyed the character of Yondu. Because Yondu is not a villain.
Yeah. Right.
And
they did make him one. They did.
They made him one in the first one. Yeah, absolutely. And they did a decent job. It was an obvious retcon, but they did a decent job of making him likable in the second movie.
I agree, because I do like Yondu in the second movie. I do. I agree.
And original Guardians, like Yondu is an original Guardian of the Galaxy from the comics.
Right.
Like a member of the core team?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
None of these people in the movies are.
None of them?
None of them.
Wow.
So
I did not know that.
To me, it's just like it. It's a sin. It's an unforgivable sin to make him a villain and keep him a villain, just as much as taking Superman and making him a villain in Justice League and keeping him a villain. Like, there's...
Boy, do I have a video game series to play.
Well, there's room for Elseworlds stuff, especially in video games. I love Injustice, but like, don't take a beloved heroic character and only make him a villain. So I love Guardians 2 for fixing Yondu.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
That's fair. That is fair.
I also love the line, "I'm Mary Poppins, y'all."
Who says that?
Yondu says it.
Yeah.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I need to see that again.
They really did. Like, Michael Rooker is a really, really good pick for Yondu.
Yeah.
Honestly. Because he was even entertaining in the first movie, despite
he was a great villain.
Oh, I did love, like, pushing aside the cardinal sin that they just made.
Yeah.
He was good in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he had his own time to shine even towards the end anyway, where he wasn't, like, as much of a villain type thing.
Yep. But
no, yeah, like, it was nice. I like the development of Yondu.
Mm-hmm.
I like that Nebula gets a lot of screen time in this one compared to the first one as well.
I'm a big fan of Karen Gillan. I don't know how she wants it pronounced. But,
Me as well.
I loved her in Doctor Who, and I was very excited to have her come along and actually kick some ass in the MCU. And
Yeah.
So I do love that they brought her in. What?
Whoa. No, sorry, I was, I did, so after seeing this movie and after seeing its after credit scene, they brought up Adam Warlock.
Yes.
Yes.
And that, I was like, oh, who's Adam Warlock? So I did some research on him when I saw this movie.
He's the one who saved the entire universe in the Infinity Saga.
Yes.
Right, and so then I was like, oh, that's where we're going.
Yep.
Holy cow.
And they
We didn't go there.
Yeah.
No.
We're still not there.
No.
No.
But
Huh.
last I checked, I don't even remember. I haven't looked into it recently, but there was talk of either Zac Efron or Keanu Reeves playing.
Yes,
Adam
because
Warlock.
as of right now, I'm pretty sure it is official, at least, that Keanu is in talks with Marvel for a role.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think they've released what roles he could possibly get, and I think it's literally just, yeah, we're talking.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm sure there's definitely more to it, and I feel like they're maybe just keeping it close to the chest right now until, surprise.
Like they do.
Once they get Black Widow out and all the Disney Plus shows eventually,
Yep.
I'm sure that's when they're going to be like, all right, initiate the new stuff.
Yeah.
Also, what do you guys think about Kurt Russell?
Okay.
Let's
So
just get into that.
I don't like that they needed to
Give him daddy issues? Not Kurt Russell. Chris Pratt.
right. No, I loved that they brought in Ego the Living Planet. I don't like that they kind of copped out. Ego the Living Planet is a living planet.
Yeah.
He's not a guy that has a planet.
He is a living
Yes.
planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he is a cosmic entity on the level of Galactus and the Living Tribunal, and which you guys probably don't even know about.
Yeah,
and,
I know Galactus. Not
Yeah, I know
Um,
Galactus too, but
But yeah, there's Ego and Epoch and Eon, and there's celestial beings. Which is funny because we were just talking about Adam Warlock, who is a celestial.
yeah.
Although he's not, the Celestials and Adam Warlock are two completely different things in the comics, but that's beside the point. But I really wanted to see Kurt Russell just playing a planet.
Yeah, that would have been
just do
hilarious.
it. Why are
and
you
awesome.
doing Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, because
if
the
you're not
final
gonna be on
fight,
that scale?
he wasn't really a.
Yeah.
He was just kind of like an entity.
Yeah.
Some kind of energy.
Yeah.
But my real problem is my real problem with this movie is it undercut the finish of the first movie, because they used the power of friendship
Yeah.
in the first movie
Yeah,
to
they
win,
did.
and okay, that's cheesy, but you sold it, we bought it, awesome. And then in this, it's like, no, it was all just Quill.
Yeah. Because I for some reason don't remember, he never lost those powers, did he?
Nope.
Or did he?
Whom? I'm sorry.
Quill. So
Oh, there it goes.
no, okay. Yeah, because he doesn't lose them.
No.
So he just doesn't ever
Doesn't
use
use
them
them.
again, ever in Infinity War, and
Yep.
because the final fight.
Well, actually, I think theoretically he does by killing
Ego.
his dad. Yeah, by killing Ego.
Yeah.
Because he could, as the son of Ego, he
Right.
controls the power of Ego, but he killed Ego. It's not really all that clear, and I don't. That is what I don't like about this movie.
Yeah.
But Baby Groot,
Baby Groot's pretty cool. Baby Groot's pretty cute.
Yeah.
And then later, the teenage.
Yeah, I am Groot.
Oh,
It's like,
teenage
oh,
Groot
hey,
is even better.
You gotta
I like
watch your mouth,
teenage
young
Groot.
man. Like, yeah.
I love that Rocket is not like he's like, okay, yeah, we're heroes, but like we're not good guys. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal stuff.
Well, yeah,
for
I
myself.
mean, he just straight up steals stuff. Like, yeah, we helped you for sure. Just takes a couple batteries. Like, yeah, you know, whatever.
Oh, and Mantis. This is Mantis's introduction, right?
Yes.
Because she was with Ego.
Yeah, and any movie that introduces me to an awesome name like Palm Clementif, clearly made up.
What?
I will cherish that movie forever.
Oh man.
Oh, that is such a good closing statement for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I have nothing else to say about that movie.
Yeah,
Do you
I don't
guys-
have a strong defense. I just don't think it's a bad movie.
Oh, no, I should be very, very clear. It's not a bad movie. It's a bad Marvel movie to me, though. Like, those are different standards. Marvel movies have different standards. Oh, an okay Marvel movie is like a great movie compared to, I don't know, something like a summer blockbuster maybe. But like an okay Marvel movie is a bad Marvel movie because they have such a high standard.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No,
I guess.
I think it.
No, you guys don't think so. That's okay.
I'm just not
That's
too
a
big a
wrap.
fan of Quill beating Ego when he's Pac-Man.
Yeah.
That like that's supposed to be like an emotional thing. Like he finds out his dad's the one that killed his mom,
Yeah.
and like he's like, I'm so mad I could beat Pac-Man right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? And it has the sound effects and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like when that happened. When that happened, I literally was sitting down, I was watching it when it happened. I literally went, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
I was just kind of like,
Oh my gosh.
"Okay, I guess that happened."
Holy cow.
Yeah, that was really all else I had. That's the only thing I had left to say about Guardians 2. Quill being Pac-Man really bothered me.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. So moving on to the fourth, our last one for this episode,
Yes.
Spider-Man: Homecoming.
I simultaneously love and hate this movie.
That is okay. All right. I love this movie. I think this movie is like one of the second best Spider-Man movies, maybe third. I think that Into the Spider-Verse is like the best Spider-Man movie.
Mhm.
I think
I agree.
Spider-Man 2 with Sam Raimi is the second best, and I think that Spider-Man: Homecoming is the third best.
I think
That is how I'd rank them.
our list is it is the same.
And I also want to be clear that I think another reason that I loved this movie as much as I did is because I came fresh off of just seeing the amazing Spider-Man movies, and those were straight garbage to me.
I agree with you.
Yeah. And so it was just really exciting to see a more faithful adaptation, or at least what I wanted out of Spider-Man more so than what Andrew Garfield delivered.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
and
I completely agree.
I will say that my absolute favorite part of this movie, what solidifies it as a love for me, is Vulture. That is the best part of the movie to me.
Yep, completely agree. I was waiting for you to
That's
say
the
it.
peak.
I was like, say
That
it,
is
say it.
the peak right
Yep.
there. Don't get me wrong, Tom Holland, he does a pretty good job in this movie. I'd go so far as to say he does a great job in this movie. I'm blanking on the actor's name. Michael Keaton, though? Michael Keaton, though.
Yep.
That.
He
is
just
where
likes
it's
playing
at.
characters that have some form of flight in them.
True.
I mean,
True.
he's got Birdman, Vulture, Batman, and apparently there's rumors that he's playing Batman again.
That would be something to
for
see.
like a.
Oh, he has been signed for Flashpoint.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, yep.
They
yeah.
actually did sign him?
I could be wrong, but I think they've
Yeah.
they've got him signed to play an older.
Ooh, I am excited.
Um,
Yeah, okay, but let's talk a little bit more about this, because you were having a conversation with us earlier about how you thought that he was misused in Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie starts off with a pet project of Peter's, where he's filming all the events of Civil War on like a cell phone.
Yeah, he was just kind of just filming himself being cool.
Like, just being cool, right? Yeah. So we're reminded that that's how he was brought in, and now we're getting his full length feature film.
Yeah.
Do they do this wrong too? Do they misuse him here?
They ruin Peter Parker.
Yikes! All right. Yikes!
Woo!
Tell us some more about that.
Peter Parker in the comics, his greatest strength is his intellect.
Yeah, they do totally miff that part.
Well, yeah, because he just has handicaps now, the whole time. He just
and he should have been the one that made all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man,
instead he gets the suit from Stark.
Yeah, Spider-Man is
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man in the comics is it was revolutionary
when Spider-Man came out.
Yeah, the character of Spider-Man, the character of Peter Parker, Stan Lee and Ditko and the whole Marvel team really made a character that their fans could identify with, rather than just a Greek god to worship, which is what all of the popular superheroes were before Spider-Man.
So it was finally just a projection of
Yeah.
the reader.
Yeah.
But incredibly resourceful. He was like, "Oh, I got these piters. I got these piters. I got these. I got these powers from a spider. It'd be cool if I could shoot some webs." So he invented the web shooters and the web fluid. Both of them were incredible inventions, and throughout the comics, for decades, Peter Parker has outsmarted people that are much more powerful than him. Peter Parker in the MCU is a kid that just has everything handed to him, and as you said, Brendan, he has some blocks placed on it, and it's not even him it's not even him that places the blocks, and it's not even him that gets around them.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
And Ned in the MCU is a ripoff of Genki from the Ultimate Spider-Man.
That's a name.
Which is Miles Morales, right? That's Ultimate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And they just gave him the name of a minor character.
And expected him to just be accepted by the fans because of that name?
Yes.
Ha! Wow. Okay. So that's very insightful.
It is.
I didn't know that. I did already have the same problem as you, though, of like they were misusing his intellect.
Mm-hmm.
I go back and forth on it though, because he's such a great character development tool for Tony, and I love to appreciate that part for Tony. Mm-hmm. But then when I look at Peter as an individual, I'm like, I feel so bad that you didn't get to have your own journey.
The only thing is that they don't even... It's the suit itself that is overpowered.
Yeah.
But they don't even hint at that in Civil War, though.
Right.
He doesn't have, his suit doesn't start talking to him. It doesn't have a heater. The only thing, you see it do is, his eyes zoom in. That's it. And so, and Tony's the tensile strength of this web fluid is off the charts. Who made it? And then Peter's like, I did. So they have the seeds to do exactly what you were talking about, where, he's incredibly resourceful and all that stuff. But MCU decided to go for the route of, kind of just a naive kid that wants to do the right thing, but doesn't really have, any sense of safety at all whatsoever for himself and others. and it's weird because my only complaint, I mean, not knowing anything from the comics is probably why I like this movie more.
Probably.
But my only complaint with Spider-Man in all 3 movies that he's been in, or 4. Actually, no, I'm not going to count Civil War because we just talked about, he didn't have any like special, tech to help him out or whatever. Is that his suits are doing all the work for him.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that literally in Endgame when he gets surrounded and he says activate instant kill, and he's just sitting there like, okay, this is happening.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is annoying. It is. Like, I love Tony a lot, and so every chance I get to see Tony Stark on screen, I'm like, oh yes, Tony. But in Homecoming, he is absolutely Peter's crutch.
Yep.
Throughout most of it.
Yep.
And like, while it makes for a good scene where Tony is like, if
you're nothing without the suit,
yeah,
you don't deserve to have it.
Exactly. Like, I like that scene.
I do too.
But at the same time, I feel like the movie would have been a lot stronger had it not had any of that, and just have it be exactly what they were setting up anyway, where Peter's like the only one who can respond to this threat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he didn't need Tony to save him. They could have just found a way to get him, like, out of it.
Yeah. This movie to me is all of my problems are because of my expectations, because of the character.
Yeah.
It's like somebody came to me and said, "Hey, I made you the most exquisite lemon meringue pie you will have ever had in your entire life." And what they gave me was a chocolate cake. That was still really good.
But it wasn't what you told me.
But, you lied to me. That's not what this is.
Yeah. Because they really
wow.
do just try to set him up to be the second Iron Man.
Yeah.
He's just Iron Man with...
He kind of takes up War Machine's mantle.
With web shooters instead of... with web shooters instead of thrusters.
Yeah.
Which is probably why I like the last half of this movie, because he loses that overpowered suit and does everything that I want Spider-Man to do. Like, he doesn't know how to drive, so he's trying to just learn how to drive in the moment. Like, he doesn't have help from anyone in the rest of the movie, and has his homemade suit for the rest of it. And, like, that's what I really like. But yeah, it really is just the whole like Iron Man part that brings Spider-Man down, which is unfortunate.
Right.
It is
very unfortunate. And that's like, it really does, bringing it up, it does annoy me a lot more thinking about it now than when I'm watching it.
Yeah. Right, you forget about it. Cause you're like,
because I do really like, I think it was a really good choice to have Vulture be the way that he is. Like,
just a working class guy.
He just has the perfect arc. He tries to. It's kind of another thing where it's like, all right, well, when life gives you lemons and superheroes, they saved the day, but they tore half of New York up. So why don't we try to pick it up and benefit us? And then all of a sudden, Stark Industries comes in and is like, no, you guys are done.
You're gonna sit down.
Yeah. So like, it's a really good arc, and like, Peter's like, I get where you're coming from, but this is bad. Yeah.
I want to date your daughter, though.
That is probably my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Is when he figures it out.
Yeah, like right when he goes up for to pick up his like date for the dance, and Michael Keaton opens it and he's like, "Hey," and it's like, oh no.
I'm usually pretty good at picking up like what the movie's trying to put down and solving that, but I didn't see that coming. I was like, oh shoot!
And it makes for such an intense scene at like 2 where he's just like, does she know? And he's like, no, what? And he goes, good, you keep it close to the chest, I respect that. Thanks for saving my daughter, but if you step in my way again, I'm killing you.
Yeah, that was a scary scene.
Yeah, because Michael Keaton just tore up, like, Vulture is such a good villain in this movie. And, like, I really, really like that. So if they just removed all the the Tony bullshit.
But you know why they couldn't, right? Because they chose not to
Yes.
include Uncle Ben, which I actually praised them for when this movie first came out. I was like, thank God.
Well, yeah, we didn't need to see
I am tired of seeing
another
that.
Uncle Ben
Yeah,
die.
it's the same thing with Batman's parents. Like, we didn't need, we don't need another. And then Martha and Thomas die, and then Uncle Ben gets shot again. Like, we already got it. Like, you don't need to go through with that. And I still feel like they could have done this movie with, that one scene where Tony says he's not around, where he's where he's talking to Peter, and he's like, listen, like, don't do anything stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, that's it. If he just kept him there. Whatever. If he's just, for some reason, just way too close to all the Stark stuff, that it really does bring his character down. And I feel like now, given the current circumstances of everything now, hopefully it's not like that anymore. Even though...
they really drove a nail in that coffin on the last one on Far From Home, and if they're still gonna be beating that horse, then I'm not interested.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember when he makes his new suit, it doesn't have any like fancy gadgets on it, right?
It has some, but it's aside from the fact that he's using Tony's equipment to do it, like, he's making it, and
yeah,
that's cool,
right? No, I agree. Didn't they also introduced? They were laying the foundation for what's the group?
Oh,
The
Sinister
Sinister Six?
Yeah.
Yes.
6.
Because they did that in this one, right? Because it was at the end when Vulture talks to
someone in prison.
Scorpion, right?
I think it's Scorpion. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, so, which is also another scene I liked, because like, even though Vulture lost to Peter, he still didn't want to give up his identity, so I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, no, I don't know who he is.
Did they keep the Sinister Six hype going in Far From Home?
Aside from Mysterio being the villain?
Yeah, like, did
I
they
don't-
have something in the what was the after credit scene for that one?
No,
I
the
can't
after
remember.
credit scene was so bad that you walked out of the theater.
I did. I
when-
can't remember what it was.
Because
though.
it was the not the Skrull,
Yeah.
right? Pretending to be Fury and Hill.
Right.
Yeah, and that was when you got up and walked out of the theater.
Yep.
And you
Yeah.
went, oh my god.
I do. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
That sucked.
Yeah,
That sucked.
but this movie itself, I feel it's good. It definitely could have been better, but despite the things that annoy me in the movie, I do still agree with Cole on this one, it being one of the best
Spider-Man
movies. Because I
Yeah.
do genuinely like Tom Holland as Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. I think he's doing a good job.
I really
so.
like that he is a kid and he like gets really excited seeing all this cool superhero stuff, which is what I liked in Civil War too, where he's just like, whoa, is that a metal arm? Like, whoa, you have wings? Like, dude, that's so cool. Like, hi Captain America, big fan. Like,
Yeah.
it just seems like
That's what
something
all of
a
us would have
15-year-old
done.
kid would, yeah.
Yeah, if we
Like,
were in that spot.
I definitely think it's weird because there are like a couple times it's like he kind of acts stupid, or like has a couple lines that come off as him being stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know why they do that, but it doesn't
Probably
really
just to show
distract.
he's still a little immature.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. But I mean, yeah, I still really like the movie despite it having its problems. I can definitely still watch it and enjoy it at least. So and that's the most important part. I just hope that Spider-Man 3
Delivers.
finally like lets Peter be Peter and not Peter Stark.
Yeah.
I would like a Peter Parker.
I would love a Peter Parker.
Like, you can still have Happy and stuff, but I would rather it mostly just be Peter Parker
Yeah.
being Spider-Man.
I feel bad having not mentioned her the entire movie. Zendaya. What do we think about her?
She didn't really have too much to work with in this movie, though.
It's weird.
'Cause that's a big name. Like, they got a big
Yeah.
name for
Yeah.
her. Zendaya has
Just-
quite the following.
Yeah, she does.
Myself
What they-
included, I should say.
Yeah, what they did is just very weird. That they're like, oh, she is MJ, but she's not Mary Jane.
Yeah.
But there maybe isn't a Mary Jane, and like, just go
it's another-
ahead and say you didn't want to cast another white ginger to play. To play Mary Jane, you thought that she was right for the role.
Yeah.
That would have been fine. You're right.
Well, it is.
It's
Yeah,
another
it is.
character with a name that they probably shouldn't have had.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. It was just it's another weird decision where it's just kind of like.
Like, not every one of Peter's love interests needs to be named the same thing, right?
Right.
Like
Well, yeah. Like in the comics, does he have more than just Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane? Is there like another one in there that
There's
like they could
Felicia
have used?
Hardy,
Yeah.
Black Cat.
Right. Yes.
Silver Sable, I think, has been a love interest. Yeah, there's been, and you know what? I don't care if you make a whole new character. Just why give it the same name?
Yeah.
I'm
no,
actually
I agree.
just thinking about it. I'm kind of uninterested in the part that she's gonna play going forward too, because hear me out. The fun part about Spider-Man having a significant other is that they don't know, and that you get to see Spider-Man deal with that fact that he has to split his life. Do I go and save people?
Yeah.
Do I become a human being again?
Yeah.
And settle down.
Yeah, 'cause
and
they
love someone and
briefly-
open myself up to that.
Yeah, because they like briefly do that, and
They briefly do that, but like I don't get that moment.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
real moment where I get to see the actual dissonance in Peter's head.
Yeah.
I don't see that. I don't feel that.
Hopefully, I mean, of course, we'll have this discussion definitely when we talk about Far From Home, but hopefully they try to come up with a more unique dynamic.
Yeah.
Where now, obviously, since we know that she knows he's Spider-Man, that maybe that is the thorn in their relationship.
Oh, maybe. I mean, I would really love to
Because,
see
I
some
mean, that was
conflict.
kind of what they did in the Sam Raimi
Yeah.
trilogy, where it was just kind of like, I know you're Spider-Man and stuff, but like,
Me.
you're having a really hard time figuring out which one you like more.
Yeah.
Like me or
Spider-Man.
you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so
I gotta
maybe
say,
they
what
do.
I liked about MJ in the comics
Oh,
and in like the '90s cartoon series is how very much she was just like his partner in it all.
Well,
Like,
they do it in the Spider-Man game, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Yeah, and I like that,
PS4
too.
you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that. It's just like, it's MJ was usually not the person that had the problem with him being Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
It was him not being able to find a balance, but like she was all for it. She thought it was kind of hot too.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Kidding me?
Damn, you're Spider-Man? Okay. Okay.
And I would like to see that, but I am the setup of everybody knows now.
It is
why?
it's very, very
Yeah.
weird. I thought it was weird when they did it, when we saw it in theaters, and I still think it is weird. It's
Yeah.
like, it was just felt very...
Yeah, we're kind of jumping the gun
we're,
here.
we're-
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
jumping to the
Conversation
end of
for
our
another
next
time. But yeah, I mean, any other closing statements for Homecoming?
Michael Keaton was always wasted as a hero, and I am just very glad that he's getting his opportunity to play some real villains again.
I
Yeah.
could not have said it better myself.
I hope he comes back.
Me too.
I mean, I don't really know if his character would really want to, like, fight Spider-Man again, but I don't know. I just really liked his character.
Yeah.
Which made me kind of sad that he was, like, a one-off villain, which usually, with, all the movies that we have been talking about, is very surprising, because usually the one-off villains, we want them to just get out of the movie so we can actually have, the next Thanos or the next Loki, but so it was definitely refreshing to have another villain that's actually memorable, and you can go, oh yeah, like he was cool.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah,
I totally agree. Yeah, so I think that was the 4 movies that we wanted to talk about today.
Yep.
Next episode of Take 47, we will finish the phase 3
Yes.
and rank the movies.
Yep.
And so yeah, stay tuned for that episode.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, we will catch you next week. Peace out, everybody.